First squad, you're my scouts. Move out. Quiet as you can.
Alright, cool. So this is my commentary for Halo 3 Legendary. We start off here by shooting this Marine once in the back and then shooting him once in the head to kill him.
Bravo team, this is Johnson. We got him. Fall back to the extraction point. Over. Roger that. Reynolds out.
The reason why we betray the Marine there is because sometimes he'll drop the frag grenades. He doesn't always drop them, but when they do get dropped, they're really useful for the cave section later in 117. I'm going to be doing a lot of live versions of this commentary on my Twitch, and you guys can see a link to that in the description below. Here's the first skip that we're going to be doing here. This is a Legendary exclusive, and we're slide jumping up, shifting to the left, and then jumping right to break the barrier. We're out of bounds here, and then we're going to be jumping back into the level. And what this is doing is it's skipping the trigger to load the enemies into this section. The only enemies that we have are three grunts there. If you look in the top right, there's a phantom. Usually that phantom, if you don't skip the trigger, it will drop a hell of a lot of enemies in this area. So we're talking 2 brutes, a bunch of jackals, and a bunch of grunts. So that's quite a nice skip to despawn them. A lot of the opening sections on Sierra are just about optimizing the movement as best as we can, taking those direct movements, going as direct as you can, you know, just jumping over rocks, cutting the corners. The AR is completely useless on Halo 3 Legendary to go fast, so we drop it here for the carbine, which is a much more accurate weapon. Usually these grunts, they are sleeping, but sometimes they will be alerted, but it's fine, we just clear them out as best we can. Get our shields back, jump to the edge of this pipe, and then jump out of this area. Again, we're skipping interaction with 3 brutes and a bunch of jackals and grunts. A little slide jump up here. There's enemies behind us and to the left that we're skipping. Shooting this jackal in the head, switching to the plasma pistol and throwing it a grenade on this brute, which will kill him instantly. Again, we're prioritizing the main threats. That brute had a brute shot, and by killing him fast, the enemies around him won't shoot us as much as they usually would. So this is a Cortana moment skip, and we're not touching the ground here. What we're doing is we're jumping on the rocks, and what this will do is to make it where we skip the trigger for the Cortana moment. During Cortana moments, you walk really slow.
Pelicans are at the river. We got company, so hustle up.
That skip saves about 5 to 6 seconds. We overcharge this brute, and as you can see, the grunts around him are panicking. We still haven't got a bubble by this point, so I'm just going to quickly kill this brute, grab the bubble. Again, we're prioritizing our shots on the main threats in the area, which are these 2 snipers on the tree.
We're going down.
You'll notice that we can't be seen in the water, and the water doesn't kill us. A lot of people don't know that you can go down there and survive, but we just use a quick brute shot jump and a nice little slide jump off the edge of that rock to escape the area. This is Sniper Alley. These jackals in this area are in pre-defined locations, so as long as you know where all the spawn points are, you can clear them out quickly and get those headshots. They don't always spawn in the same areas, but as long as you know the spawn points where they can spawn, this section you clear them out quite fast. Got to do a long shot here with the battle rifle on the sniper in the corner. One of my favourite skips. Right here, we're chucking a grenade at our feet, which will allow us to get that momentum to bounce across to the other side. Taking out the sniper and taking out the last jackal in this area. So again, we just skipped a hell of a lot of enemies in that area. This is the Johnson. We actually going so fast there that the game would never allow us usually to see that, but we just saw Johnson completely disappear. The game wants us to see him go through that cave section, but because we got through there so fast, we actually saw him despawn, basically he's just despawned and teleported into the prison area that we're going to see him in a second. Again, prioritizing the threats in the area, so we're going to be taking out that jackal, the sniper on top of the hut. Nice little strat here that I like to do. We saved the frag grenade and I like to chuck it against the wall here. It will take off the hinges off the edge of this window. So this flap will come down, and then we brute shot the glass, and we can skip through and press B on the prison escape button. Now, as you can see, Johnson is back, and as soon as you press that button, the timer will start to end the level where the Pelican comes in and kills the phantoms.
Friendly gunship coming in hot.
That's why it's called to jump through that window, because as soon as you press that button, the timer will start. Here's the chieftain with his hammer. The brute's movement is very predictable, so what we allow him to do there is to take the swing at us, and he will kind of like shimmy forward. So we shift to the left and then give him a back smack. Even if he's got the invincibility activated, it will still kill him with an assassination. So we're just doing our best here to kill as much enemies out as we can. The more enemies you kill in this area, the faster the Pelican will come in and end the level for us. That's probably the best flare throw I've ever done there. Usually the chieftain will drop an invincibility. It's actually quite rare for him to drop the flare. Consistency wise, the invincibility is a lot more useful.
Going loud. Everyone down. Rats one phantom.
And as soon as Johnson says Hocus Phantom, that's the trigger for the level ending.
Rats two.
Trying to clear out as many enemies as we can here to make our path to the Pelican as safe as we can. Even though there are enemies still alive here, we just ignore them, jump into the Pelican to end the level. And that was Sierra 117.
Sorry for the tight squeeze.
Probably my favourite line at the start of a level right there.
Come on, sir. I'll show you the
So we
way.
start this level crow's nest without any weapons. We just pick them up here in the barracks.
Get those turrets up. You watch your fields of fire.
Again, taking the most direct movement as we
Point of
can
entry. Best assessment.
to get into the
Hangar,
first
Sergeant.
fighting area.
Agreed. Master Chief, get there.
Chief? Good. This channel is secure. My fire teams are spread thin. We can't hold out forever. I need that hangar cleared for evac ASAP. Here, let's go!
So we take out these three grunts, which they're the furthest forward enemies. Throw a couple of precise grenades into this area to try and kill as many as we can. The idea here again is to kill this brute as fast as we can, because he will make the enemies around him panic.
Oh no! Grenade!
Okay, so you can see he's dead there, and they're going coward mode. Again, a nice series of headshots just to clear these enemies as they turn the corner. Got to be careful, because sometimes the grunts can drop a grenade as they die. So instead of throwing it at you, they drop it on the ground, and if you keep walking, sometimes you can die from it. I wanted to get a PB to do this video on, and I got this a couple of days ago. Been grinding a lot of Halo 3 recently. So again, we're prioritizing the grunt here, sorry, the brute. These pelicans will drop enemies in waves. You get 3 waves in the hangar. Not actually quite sure what happened here. It looks like for some reason my controller decided to double tap Y. It wasn't intentional to drop the battle rifle there, but we should be able to grind out this area still. We can prioritize the brutes as they're dropped from the Phantom. Battle rifle spawns down the bottom here, and it's quite important to get this to get some more ammo. No, it would be important. It's important to note, no Halo 3 or any Halo world record, as far as I know, is deathless. I've definitely not had a deathless PB yet, but even when the deaths happen, it's more or less just, you know, optimizing it as best we can, trying to get a feel for where the enemies are coming from, and, you know, and just improving it for the next time. Deaths don't happen often, so again here we're using the classic noob combo, overcharging our plasma pistol, shooting it to get the shields down, and then one headshot. Combination that's used in so many Halo speedruns. Alright, now that we have the BR, we can start doing this a little bit more optimal. Again, overcharging the brute as soon as he drops and throwing a grenade. That grenade will also kill quite a few of the enemies as they drop. We're throwing a grenade down on the ground there, so as soon as the grunts come down, they're dead, and we can just run and walk out of this area. We have to pick up deployable cover, which is important for the next area. We've got a nice little trick coming up. This door that we're coming through here won't open unless every single enemy in the previous section is dead. So we're swapping out the plasma pistol here for a brute shot. We can pick up a plasma pistol again in a short while. So the reason why we swap it out for the brute shot is because the brute shot is so good at killing the next enemy type that's introduced here. We're going to be fighting a lot of buggers. It's a classic line from Halo 2 in Outskirts. Buggers over the rooftops. I love these enemies, they're called drones. So we're just going to fire a load of brute shots there, and that's killing about at least 10 of them as they come out of that pipe. And then we're throwing down the deployable cover here. Interestingly enough, when you throw down a DC by a turret, you can shoot the turret through the DC, or any human weapon can be shot through a DC, and they can't shoot you, but you can shoot through it, which is quite a nice little trick. We're going to activate the button on this door here, and then wait to the checkpoint. The reason why we're waiting there is because if we weren't to wait, and we got this chieftain here to drop a flare, we can't really get through this section if he drops a flare, but I do have a backup strat for it, which we're going to be seeing here. So he's dropped a flare. Now usually he will drop an invincibility, which you can activate and get through this area as fast as you can, but by dropping the flare, the backup strat that I've kind of made for this section is to go behind the door here and just wait for them to come past and then hammer through the door. The hammer has like a radius where the weapon will affect enemies around you, so it's not just enemies in its length. It's any enemy that's in radius of the swing will get affected. So we kill them as they go through. And this is what Halo 3 is all about, the hammer launchers. That was the first one in the game. I hit that okay, it could have been better. Usually the optimal way is to get to the end of the pipe here. We're going to see another one here. What it is you can hammer launch off crates and boxes, and it allows us to literally fly across the level. So in previous speedruns like Halo 2, you've seen sword flying. With Halo 3, it's all about the hammer launchers to get that movement optimization and They're pretty cool to see. You can see the gap that we actually went past there. We skipped that entire section of the barracks that you usually have to walk around.
Ma'am, I've got movement above envelope. Brutes. They've got jump pads.
Gonna jump on top of the Pelican
Going
here,
after the thrusters.
take out a
Shake
couple
them
of
off,
these
Lieutenant.
brutes, and then let the Pelican kind of like take us above. So we're flying on top of the Pelican now. We're going to be jumping on top of the level, taking out one more brute to spawn them behind us. And as you can see, they've just immediately spawned, like they just come out of nowhere. We take them out with a couple grenades and a hammer. One left alive. We don't need to take the swing, so we just melee him. Pick up the cloaking, which is really important later on in the level. We're throwing a grenade down the ground there there's a fusion coil, so that's kind of magnifying the explosion. A lot of these brutes now have no shields, so a couple of headshots just cleans them up. Nice little timed frag throw against the wall here, which bounces into the floor of them and kills the... should kill them all. It doesn't always kill them all, but it's a nice little strat there. So yeah, in Halo 3 you can hammer launch off crates, small boxes, ammo boxes, or weapon boxes, which are the bigger ones. This one coming up here is a weapon box. Nice little hammer launcher.
Kill those brutes. Rearm the bomb.
Now this is what I was mentioning before. The camouflage is really important in this section because there's a hell of a lot of snipers above us there. This section would be a hell of a lot longer if we didn't camo through it. So we're going to skip all those enemies by using that camouflage. Now here's the dreaded bomb room. This is the Halo 3 Legendary speedrunner's nightmare sometimes. This can be a real pain. The intended strat here is just throw a grenade above so that it gets the guy off the turret. Just kind of like try and distract him as best you can. You have to touch the... you have to deactivate the bomb, which they activated, and then get down. The reason why that section can be quite infuriating is because quite often one of the brutes will hit you with a direct brute shot, or the chieftain can hit you with a direct fjord shot and kill you instantly. So these are the Cortana moments, and we mentioned one in the previous level. Some of them are quite short and some of them are quite long, and you walk really slow through them. One of my favourite strats here, this is called the butterfly. So what we're doing, I'll try and explain this as best I can. When you have the ability to reload, you can melee towards an enemy and then reload, and then melee towards an enemy. So what we're doing is we're meleeing and cancelling the melee, then meleeing again and cancelling the melee. When you melee on a red rectangle towards an enemy, it will bring you towards them. So when you spam that over and over, you can essentially butterfly, and we're flying with the drones, they're flying through that hallway. It's a pretty cool strat. Okay, well apparently shotgun does nothing to that jackal, but do our best to stay alive here. Hit the button, and that's the end of Crow's Nest.
This place will become your home. This place will become your tomb.
So in the last 6 to 7 months, I've been focusing entirely on my ILs, so my individual segments of Halo 3. This is why I'm beating these splits by quite a lot.
What happened?
This is Tsavo Highway. And this is probably one of my favourite levels, but can also be one of the most punishing levels.
Find transport. Head to the tower.
I have never actually carried over weapons to this level before, and I'm not quite sure why it happened. Apparently, if you have a shotgun and a plasma pistol, it will carry them over. So that's a note to anybody who wants to speedrun this game. Don't ever have this two combination, because usually you should spawn with 2 grenades and a battle rifle, which are really important for this level. But for some reason, we had a weapon carry over there, which I've never ever had to crows before. But you know, there's a first time for everything. A lot of this level is about taking the top speed, trying to build up the speed as best you can with the hog. The hog is one of those vehicles in Halo 3 that builds up its speed over long distances. So like, if you jump into a section and then get a bit of a stutter as you fall, it will take a while to build the speed back up. So it's just about trying to, you know, take as smooth as driving path as you can to try and keep that top speed rolling.
Still can't get the commander.
Right here, we kind of want the gunner to shoot the turret, which he does do.
Between us and the base. Crews are going to be looking for survivors.
Now this section, you have to get quite lucky quite often to get through this. It seems like we're having a bit of trouble, but this is expected. It is a bit unfortunate, but sometimes you don't always get the best luck on this section. We're trying to skip there's 2 shade turrets, the phantom turret and a sniper which can snipe you out of the driver's seat. And we have to kind of like get the Marines to kind of absorb some of the bullets while we get through this section. Otherwise it takes a long time. The general way that most players would get through this section. Okay, so it looks like we got sent back to the previous section. In Halo 3, if you die 5 times in quick succession, it will send you back to the previous checkpoint. Luckily, the checkpoint was actually quite close, so this is not actually going to lose too much time.
Crews are going to be looking for survivors.
So again, we're just trying to get the Marines to take as much damage as they can. So this time round we got sniped out of the driver's seat. This is actually really unlucky. Definitely not riding our luck on this one. Tsavo, please. Alright, here you go. Oh my god. Alright, we did it. I think we're good. Yeah, so sometimes in this section, you can get a lot of bad luck. It's just about trying to ride it out as best you can and get through that section, because any other way of getting through there is really slow. So we're gonna go far right here, jump. As we're getting out of the hog, flip the hog, reverse right into the grav lift at the edge. We're clipping through the wall to pick that grav lift up. This is a nice little strat that I improvised here. The shade turret is on the right, which is the preferred reason. The reason why we ditched the Marines is because they took a lot of damage in the previous section, so we decided to get a fresh hog there, which makes that section extremely easy to get through. There's a hit point system on the hog in Halo 3, and if you take a lot of damage on the previous sections, the hog that you were riding with is much more likely to blow up, which is why we much prefer to grab a new one. Throwing the grav lift down there that we picked up a minute ago is a nice little skip. You're not actually supposed to take the hog into this area, it wasn't intended, but by throwing the grav lift down, it's a nice little strat and you can get the hog into this section, which allows us to take a vehicle for the entire level. There's invisible barriers coming up on this broken ring structure here, but we can actually get through it by just maneuvering around it and not touching the invisible barriers. We skipped 2 choppers and a Wraith there to get through this cave section. Whoa! Nice little, I don't even know what to call that, but it looked nice. So we're switching out the hog here, picking up the Fjord gun, and getting into the chopper. The chopper allows us to boost over this wall here and skip the section. There's actually a Wraith behind us here that we just don't want to interact with.
Boy is dead ahead. Smash the brute blockade. Open her up.
So we're going to be taking the chopper to the end of the level here, and the trigger to end the level is to kill the turret and blow up the barrier on the door. You saw one of the barriers earlier on this level, so all we're going to do is throw a grenade. There's a lineup for this. We're going to line up the reticle, fire 2 Fjord shots, and that should kill the barrier, and the level ends. There's actually about, I'd say about a dozen, at least a dozen to 15 brutes there, and we just ignore them, kill the shade turret, blow up the barrier, end the level nicely. So we did get quite a bit of bad luck on that level, it seems, but it's okay. Sometimes you do have to ride out the RNG on Tsavo. Tsavo can be like that.
Chief, the Prophet of Truth has found the Ark. Our only chance of stopping him is a surprise aerial assault.
So this is my favourite level on Halo 3 Legendary.
Sector of Covenant anti-air defense ships. Good hunting. Keys out.
Actually got a very strange double audio there. I've never heard that before. They were overlapping each other. Again, we killed the Marine here, just to get into the hog faster. Saves about 2 seconds. We could jump round, get him out, and then get back in, but that's slow. And like I said before, as long as you don't kill 2 of them, it's fine. So it saves a couple of seconds. A couple of Fjord shots to clear out this as best we can. Hit the button there. As soon as we hit the first button, which was the one at 30 seconds, the doors will open, and the last door will be on a timer. So as you saw, the loading was done there, and that was a timer from the first button press. We're going forward a bit here. We're doing a nice little lineup, firing 5 Fjord shots at the back of this Phantom to kill it before it drops the enemies. So none of the enemies actually drop there. Usually a brute and a bunch of jackals and grunts come out of that, which makes this section quite hard. But as you can see, we just killed it with 5 precise shots. The trigger for this area is to kill the Wraith and 2 of the ghosts and some of the enemies before, and we will get the load. We didn't kill enough of the enemies behind us, so we just got to clear up a couple of the grunts here, and we got the load. Get a nice little checkpoint and drive the ghost through these crates here. Completely ignore this Wraith. We're just gonna boost past it, splatter some of these grunts, and then jump into the next section. Dropping out the Fjord for the rockets.
Flush him out, sir. We'll nail him with a 50.
Again, a nice little Cortana moment here. We're going to be jumping a little bit to try and get a little bit of speed. There are some of these Cortana moments you just can't skip in Halo 3, but there are a lot of them that we can skip. I currently have the world record for this level. Really enjoy this level. It's a nice short one. It's currently a 6-minute 40 world record for the IL, and I don't know, I really like this level. You get the it's the first introduction of the Scarab, which we'll be seeing in a minute. So we have to take out 2 of the anti-air wraiths here, a couple of these of the ghosts. So each Phantom will drop 2 ghosts. We have a total of 8 Fjord shots, so 2 shots for each ghost. pick up the grav lift to the left here, which is important for a later section, and the next wave of phantoms come down on a timer. So again, we're just taking out these ghosts as best we can. The reason why I didn't take the last shot with the Fuhrer on that ghost is because I want to juggle this plasma pistol to this specific location. The reason why we're doing this is usually you can only have a maximum of 2 weapons, but when you juggle weapons, it is possible to have 3 at once. Both the AA Wraiths, the anti-air Wraiths, we call them AA Wraiths, have been destroyed, and what I like to do is bring the ghost over here, and I drop the plasma pistol from that last ghost by this one. We save this ghost, and it gives us a nice, easy, quick escape after we kill the Scarab. So this is the first time that we're going to be seeing a Scarab in Halo 3, and it's quite an interesting part of the speedrun.
Scarab, find some cover. Now.
So usually, you know, you take a long time to kill this thing, but we're going to throw down a grav lift here, and we're going to skip on top of it. So as it turns there, we get to the end, we kill this grunt, fire rockets at this one, and just clear out the brutes here at the back. Usually you'd have to spend a lot of time killing the Scarab by shooting off its legs, which makes it come down, but while we're on top of it, we just go right to the back and kill the core. It's very fast. So again, as you can see, here's where I put the plasma pistol. I pick it up, get into the ghost, and just boost to the next section. Nice little clip on the edge there to try and get around that column. Boost into this door, pick up a couple of frags
Well done,
here to
Chief.
the left of us.
I'm sending in a few pelicans.
Betray these guys, and do a little bounce jump through
One more
the
target,
Cortana
Chief.
moment.
I
There's
am
a Covenant
your
AA
sword.
gun in the next area. Take it down and Lord Hood can start his attack run.
So currently we're holding plasma pistol and the rockets, and the idea is to have the plasma pistol for the last section, which is quite interesting, and I'm gonna explain it when we get to it in a minute. The brutes are the main threat there, so we just use the rockets to take them out. Got to get quite lucky here to get around this corner and not die. Nice. Usually you might have a bubble for that corner, which makes it a lot more consistent, but you won't always get one because they don't always drop it. Okay, so the main threats here are the 2 brutes that have the carbines. So we're just going to fire 2 shots at them there, get a double kill, jump on this barrier, then jump, and here's the next out of bounds in Halo 3. And what we're doing is we're waiting until we're about to fall, jump, and then it breaks through the barrier. If you look around us, there's actually there's floating trees, all sorts. We're actually out the level boundary now. You're not supposed to be out here. And as you can see to the left, there's some trees that are floating. Nice little strat that I got here. It's kind of a mix of the IL strats combined with the old full game strats. Usually you'd have to walk up to the gun and then spiker it to death, but we bring the plasma pistol out of bounds, take a long range shot here, which will hit the core. So you can see the length of the hill. We usually have to go up there. We actually got a hit there, but it wasn't enough to kill it, so we just take one more, blow it up before the hunters get round to us, and that's the end of the level right there. As you can see, I've been grinding that level a lot. I guess it's kind of expected. I think a few months ago when I last ran full game, my storm was like a 10-minute. Since then I've got the world record. and that's a lot of time save. So this is one of the coolest levels
Spreading all over
in
the city.
Halo 3
How do we
Legendary.
contain it?
Find the crash
It's only
clutch.
4 minutes long,
Overload its engine.
and there's a hell of a lot of hammer
Destroy
launchers
this
in this
city
level.
Or risk losing
Multiple
the entire
contacts.
planet.
Unknown hostiles. Do it. There!
Chief,
Over
make
there!
your way to the crash site.
We're surrounded, Sergeant!
First hammer launch here is we don't always get this, but we try and swing off this ammo box here. We actually got the launch, but it was stopped prematurely because we clipped on the edge of the box there, which was unfortunate. The idea is to usually hammer launch to where we are standing right about now. Saves anywhere between 3 to 10 seconds, because sometimes you can even clip through the door if you get really lucky. Nice little hammer launch here off the ammo box. We're going to swing round the edge there, go really fast and clip round and slide jump round the corner, skipping all the flood in that area right there. Blow up this fusion core and do a nice little hammer jump up, get that added height, get to this section fast. Got another Cortana moment coming up here, so we skip this by jumping on the box. Again, we're not touching the ground, like in Sierra, where we weren't touching the rocks. We're not touching the ground at all, and we just crouched through, so we didn't touch the ground in the previous frame. So we're actually out of bounds there, and that's the third out of bounds in Halo 3. You might have only seen it there for a split second, but there's a hell of a lot of flood below us. Usually you'd have to go, it's like an S shape, so there's actually quite a few waves of flood in that area. And without going out of bounds there, you tend to try and have to fight that, and it can be quite slow. Nice little out of bounds skip. A couple of slide jumps here, pick up a bubble shield. We throw a spiker on these boxes. Sometimes you get a nice orientated box, they're all at angles, so unfortunately we can't do a hammer jump here. But sometimes you'll get one that's facing this direction, so you can do a nice little hammer jump to the door to this section. The marine flood forms die quite quickly because it's kind of like one headshot and they're dropped. The brute flood forms can sometimes take 1 or 2 shots, but again they can drop quite easily. But the elite flood forms, which are the blue ones, they're the problem ones sometimes. They're the ones that we tend to try and ignore the most, because there's one to the right of us right there. They tend to sometimes have shields, and sometimes you actually get ones that are completely invincible and you can't kill them. So we prioritize killing the ones that shoot the bullets. I'm actually didn't think I actually killed him there, but again, is another example showing that you can stay. It's so important to stay alive in Legendary. We usually you'd have a bubble shield. But again, you can use all sorts of things. The DC can also be used to stay alive if you just deploy it and pause for a second to get your shields back. So this is another moment, and this is not a Cortana moment, this is a Grey Mind moment. And again, you walk slow in them. Can't skip them. There's not a single Grey Mind moment, as far as I'm aware, that can be skipped in the game. You can do things to go fast through the Grey Mind moments, like right here we're jumping down, doing a hammer launch, so we're actually getting the speed there from the hammer to go through and end the level early.
Everlasting.
Holy crap, another gold. Awesome.
Chief,
Cortana?
High Charity, the Prophet's holy city is on...
Cortana.
Okay, it seems like we got a cutscene glitch here.
Reclaimer.
Usually, of course, in the Halo speedrun, you try and skip these cutscenes, but it seems like we've got glitched. Pretty sure there's nothing I can do here.
To a safe location, somewhere I can make repairs.
On Halo, you tried to kill Cortana. You tried to kill me.
I guess we're going to be watching this.
Dictated my response. She had the activation index.
This is not an
and
intended
you were going
strat,
to destroy
guys.
my installation.
On a speedrun of Halo 3
Destroy my
Legendary.
installation.
This is not an intended strat at
Only
all.
one function, to help you, Reclaimer. As I always should have done.
I actually briefly remember somebody saying something about this in the past. If you press A too fast, I think, at the end of a cutscene on Floodgate, sometimes it makes it to where you can't skip it. Which is unfortunate. Well, I think we lost about a minute there. But yeah, that was Floodgate, one of the more awesome levels in Halo 3. So this is the longest level in full game, Legendary. It's called the Ark.
Priority 1. Secure a landing zone for the commander's frigate. But keep your eyes and ears open. We need all the intel we can get. Wherever the hell we are. Stand to, Marines.
By holding B,
Go.
as you're coming out of the Pelican, you actually get out quicker. So hold B as you come out at the end of that Pelican, and it saves a couple seconds. Nice little bounce jump there to get onto the rock formation here. Little slide jump. Again, little movement optimizations. So the idea there is just to prioritize our shots on those two brutes. Sometimes they drop a bubble shield or a DC. Bubble shield is the preferred drop that we get. Killing those jackals as we go in the cave formation, we should get a checkpoint. Sometimes the enemies in this area, oh, they did see us. Occasionally they will shoot you and kill you, but if you have a bubble shield, you can throw it down on that rock. We actually skipped, again, we skipped about 3 or 4 brutes in that section. A hell of a lot of carbines, jackals, and a bunch of grunts. So again, we're going to kill the leader here, so the grunts below go a bit crazy, making our path to the mongoose over there safe. They won't always go crazy. Like some of them toughen up. As you can see, 2 of them start shooting us, but 2 of them start to run away. It's a little bit it's mostly random. We throw the bubble shield there so they don't shoot us as we start going. That was actually a really unfortunate checkpoint. You should get a checkpoint as soon as you get into the mongoose.
The demon! Kill him!
So the idea here is to get past the prowler as it's kind of like jumping over us to minimize the shots on us. Ignore the chopper in this area, try and get through here, ignore these 2 choppers, ignore the ghost, and then like get out to the left and jump onto this ghost as he's getting into it, kick him out, and skip that section. So we're in a ghost and we're just boosting through, so those turrets weren't really doing any damage to us. So we're going to be using the ghost here to drive on this wall. Of course this wasn't really intended, but the ghost can attach itself to inclines. Not quite sure what happened there. The general idea here is to get it to jump from the edge of this rock face onto the next one. Let go of the boost for a split second. Okay, there we go, we got it. And again, we're skipping enemies here, like on the first mission, as you saw, like 30 seconds into the speedrun, we had an enemy deload. By going over that corner there, we despawn all the enemies in this area. We zoom in here to this shade turret, fire a rocket, and it will kill it. So we don't have to aim with the rocket. The sniper, of course, has 10 times zoom. The rocket only has 2 times. So it's a nice little strat that we also use there on the brute. By the time that we've started shooting the Wraith, and the Brute will already be dead over there. That rocket that we fired on the Brute's leg also killed some grunts in the area. So we're just staying back here in the cave formation, shooting some of these Brutes the best we can, killing them quickly. These ghosts here can quite often come up the hill and ruin you. They may only be small grunts, but the ghosts can kill you very quick on Legendary, so it's important to be accurate with your shots. Again, there's a turret floating platform here, so we prioritize that, kill him. Another turret here to the left, take that guy out. The thing that kills the Wraiths the most is by shooting the core in the back. And a good thing to note actually is on the chopper, if you, instead of holding down the shoot with the chopper, if you tap it as fast as you can, it will shoot faster.
Bring her down.
So we just clear out those Wraiths and we get the load. I can honestly say that I have never had that dialogue before. That was kind of funny. I've never had that dialogue. On Halo, of course, if you turn on the IWHYBD skull, you always get the rare dialogues, but they can still happen, I believe, in the game. They're just very rare. Never heard that before.
If we can't fly over the wall, we'll go right through it. Chief, take one of the tanks. Lead the way. If you find any locked doors, Spark will be happy to pry them open.
I will certainly try my best. Will I, unfamiliar with this facility?
All right then. You heard the lady.
So we're taking the tank through this section because although it's a slow vehicle, it's the fastest way to get through this section. There's a hell of a lot of threats coming up, and it's the most optimized way to get through this is to take the tank. Of course, there is other ways to do it. You can do it on foot. You can probably do it risky with the Ghost, but we have to kill a Prowler, 2 Hunters, a bunch of Ghosts, the Phantom Turret, a Shade Turret, a Wraith, and then in the next section after that there's 3 Wraiths, a Shade Turret, and a bunch of Choppers and Ghosts. So it's just, although this is a slow vehicle, this is the best way to get through this section. One of my favourite lines in Halo 3 Legendary right there. Tank beats everything. So again, the general idea here is to not stop. Like, you can pause, but if you kind of like swivel to the left and right, you know, you can still progress forward, and kind of like dodge the shots. So we choose to take out this Wraith here first, and then the next Wraith on the right, and then we will start shooting the Phantom as soon as it spawned. And if we'll actually be looking up to where it spawns, and it spawns right there, so we're killing it like we did on Storm. We're killing it before it spawns the enemies. Is the Wraith alive here? Okay, sometimes the Wraith will die from the Phantom explosion. The trigger for the door is actually on that Wraith dying. So if that Wraith takes longer to die, if he doesn't die from the Phantom explosion, it does take 10 seconds longer to open this door. Guilty Spark will come up here and fire his beam or whatever and open the door. Sometimes the Wraith will die, but when he doesn't, it's not a big deal. It's only 10 seconds.
Please follow me.
If you ask me, I'm not quite sure how firing that beam at a bit of metal can open doors, but hey, we'll go with it. We're looking in the corner here because apparently we have quite a few people in the Halo 3 community that look at the scripts, and I believe by looking in that corner, the Guilty Spark will come down to open the door a little bit faster, so he'll like load into that section a little bit quicker than if you weren't looking at the wall. Not quite sure why that happens, but it's a nice little strat that we used there. Again, just trying to maneuver as best as we can into that section. It's really quite kind of cool that we can drive the chopper through. Again, it's something that definitely wasn't intended, but the chopper can fit through a lot of doors and drive into inside structures. So we're going to be ignoring all the Wraiths here. The Scarab that we're going to be seeing in a moment is on a timer, so we basically just book it, try and get down to the bottom as fast as we can. And as you can see, it loads in there. Again, similar to what we were doing on the level Storm earlier, what we do here is we throw a grav lift, and then jump onto the far right there and get to the core. The trigger for the loading in the next section, where the Pelican comes down and then flies up to drop off Arbiter and a couple of Marines in a moment, is on that Scarab dying. So there are so many enemies before that Scarab, but again, we just prioritize killing that Scarab because everything before it doesn't matter. We can then take the chopper here around the wide route and then go back up.
Truth's fleet lies in ruin. Find where the liar hides, so I may place my boot between his gums.
We'll know soon enough, Shipmaster.
Nice little strat here. We're actually going to be riding up the side of this wall by boosting it. We're going to be getting onto this wall and riding up the side of this structure. There's a lot of enemies below us, so there's a bunch of brutes. There's a bunch of jackals down there as well, and we're going to be skipping the majority of them by like riding up the side here, and we're dropping in between there. Usually you die from the fall timer, but because we get out of the chopper as we're falling, the fall timer is basically cut in half. Again, juggling some weapons, so we have 3 weapons for the time being. Now, this time around, we're not actually betraying that Marine to get any of his grenades or anything. The reason why we betray him is because we're skipping a bit of dialogue here. Usually, Guilty Spark will turn around and he'll go, "Oh, it looked like I crossed a circuit," and he will shoot that Marine, and there will be a bit of dialogue change in between them, but this just allows us to get into this complex a little bit faster. So we just kill him for that reason, basically. You'll find that in Halo, we basically do anything, anything that we can, even betraying our Marines, whatever, you name it, to go fast, we will do it. Alright, okay, so that brute there, kind of like meleeed towards us, so we're sticking him as he goes behind us. So by the time, that was unfortunate, we're trying to save some of our rockets here. So the idea here is to use as much of our fuel as we can to clear out this area. So he's lunging towards us and we're sticking him. By the time he's behind us, the explosion of the grenade won't affect us. throw a grenade there sometimes can distract those brutes so we can get around the corner. We were unfortunate not to get a bubble shield for this section. When you get a bubble shield, it makes it a little bit better, but you can still get through.
Chief, you got a whole mess of hostile air inbound. Get back inside while we take them out.
Follow the Oracle, Spark. I will help your sergeant clear the sky.
Alright, so we're going to be killing the mauler brutes there and then firing that rocket that we saved in the previous section on that chieftain. And usually getting down that is quite hard. If we have the bubble shield, it's a little bit better. So we quickly kill this brute there. These brutes are invisible, they've got cloaking. We shoot that one, we wait for one to drop down, shoot him again, shoot that one. So there's 4 in this area, and that's the trigger for the getting through the next door. As long as you know where they are and where they drop, you can get through this quite fast. Otherwise you have to play hide and seek, which can take time, and it's quite slow. A couple more enemies as we go through that door. Again, the game's not expecting us to be this far forward, so they're not reacting to us at all, and it's only now that they're starting to react, because the chieftain is doing like a little bit of a ritual where they're like punching their arms in the air, and I don't really know what they're doing. A little bit of monkey business, but yeah, if you get down there fast enough, you can just throw grenades at them and they won't react until a specific point. We're just clearing up these jackals here, and that's the trigger for the end of the level.
ETA damn quick. Stand by for pickup.
This is actually still a pretty fast arc. We lost a little bit of time on the inside complex. -343 Industries. Okay, so this level coming up here is Covenant. This would probably, in my opinion, be the level which is the most punishing. So some of the sections in this can be hard to get through. You have to get a bit lucky, for sure. Especially coming out of some of the towers on this level. You've got to get a little bit of luck. So we kill that brute there, and then fire a couple of spike grenades. Pick up the spike grenades and then throw them at those turrets to quickly take them out. Clean up some of these grunts. The trigger for the pelicans to come down here and progress onto the next area is just to kill all the enemies, kill the wraiths, kill all the grunts, and the brutes. If we take this path around the outside, it's a little bit safe, but it's still quite fast. Take one more shot at the wraith here.
You're the man. Beachhead secure, Commander. Hostile anti-air has been neutralized.
Hold position.
The next section can be quite troublesome. These banshees can kill us pretty instantly. So the general idea is to try and save 2 shots and kill them. It's something that I like to do. They're not easy shots. They really aren't easy shots, but we killed one there. Sometimes one is enough to get through this section, and even if there are 2 alive, there's a chance that they can't see you.
Get to the first tower. Shut it down.
Alright, we got a bit unlucky. We're going to have to try and change things up here to change our driving path to try and get through. Even though we killed one, it still looks like the one above us is spotting us, which is unfortunate. Okay, so I think we're going to try and go a little bit wide left here. Alright, so as you can see, going around that corner, it was noticing us because the flight was quite low, but we went a little bit wider left there. It didn't notice us, so we can just power through this section. There's a shade turret there and a couple grunts that we just go far left and skip past them. I like taking the mongoose up this section because it's very easy to maneuver in those tight tree and rock structures on the far left there.
Good. The Arbiter and the Elites have touched out at number 2.
You'll see some runners take the hog up, but I feel it's a bit beefy to get through that section. Also, because I'm on a smaller vehicle, I don't know, maybe it's just a subconscious thing, but I feel like sometimes the enemies don't spot you as much because you're a smaller target, but it's probably just me. Alright, so here we have to boost through these enemies into the shade turret to kill it, throw the bubble shield, and it will prevent the enemies behind us from shooting us. There's a prowler, a wraith, and a couple shade turrets in that area that we just skipped. So we're going to do a nice couple little jumps here. Pick up the power drain and kill these grunts. Enemies to the left of us and below us. But by jumping to the top level there, we can skip them. And they're actually going to be dead when we come back down. They just die. Don't know what kills them. Pretty sure they just despawn.
Get inside that tower.
Throwing the power drain here on all these monkeys and just give them a couple of headshots. Very quick clear. We're trying to get the again. So it looks like he's just doing a swing there. Give him a quick back smack.
Find the tower controls and shut it down.
Like I said earlier, the chieftain with the hammer, his walk path when he attacks you is very predictable.
Good work.
Just shift to left, give him a back smack. We did get the invincibility, which is really useful for coming out of this tower.
Get back outside, Chief. Wait for transport.
So the enemies that we're about to see are they've spawned in from the outside area and come into this complex. The ones below us, these are new enemies that have spawned in here. So we activate the invincibility. It's just enough time on the length of it to get through that section and completely ignore all those enemies. Nice little hammer launch here.
Get in, sir.
It really does show the power of hammer launches. You can go quite a distance with them. The hog is quite fast in the downhills, so the idea here is just to like maneuver ourselves around the rocks and try and maintain that top speed like I was talking about on Tsavo. Just trying to take the most smooth driving path as you can, not slowing down. Sliding around those rocks, being careful not to impact with the trees.
Sir, got a flight of birds that need an escort. Take the Hornet, get those pelicans safely to the third tower.
So the Phantom that we see directly in front of us, and there's a bunch of Banshees as well. The Phantom will drop a Wraith, anti-air Wraith, and we're not even going to worry about it. If we fly low enough, we can skip them by not grabbing their attention. Some of the Banshees to the left here will still see us, but we're actually past this Phantom and the Wraith that it drops before we've even got to that section. And the only reason why we were able to do that is because we were so fast getting down that hill with the hog. That Phantom will come in on a timer. So like I mentioned, some of these Banshees to the left of us can notice us, and they might shoot and kill you here. You have to hope that you just get a bit lucky. You can get bombed and shot as you're getting into this tower.
Understood. Chief, clear an LZ, then get inside the tower.
So we carried over the beam rifle from the previous section, taking out a couple of these brutes. We're going to be picking up their brute shot, which is really useful for killing those buggers, as I like to call them. You remember this strat from Crow's Nest. So we're gonna fire a couple shots at the horde here, and it will kill the majority of them. And once you kill enough, you don't have to kill them all. As you can see, one shot, it has like a splash damage, like an area of effect, and it will kill the majority of them. There's a couple of hunters below us, and again, they're going to completely despawn. Or rather, we just completely ignore them, and we'll deal with them when we get back down. These brutes go invisible as soon as they see you, but we can take a couple of very clean sniper shots there, 2 for 1. Through those 2 of those brutes, and we wait for the last one to come around the corner here. Try and see them as best you can. You can see them while they're invisible, You just got to look for like that little shimmer. Pick up the plasma pistol. We're going to use this to stun this guy as he comes. We go around the corner here. Give him a bit of a back smack. Again, the chieftains die
Hit the switch,
from one hit in the back.
and the barrier will fall.
Now, here's another part, which is it's a bit of a personal hell sometimes for speedrunners of Halo 3 on Legendary. Of course, on easier difficulties, you can just run past enemies, but
Shipmaster,
here
what's
we
your
really
status?
have to try and clear out the flood as best as we can, and we have to hope that
to a safe
the enemies
distance. Stay away
are
from the
dead.
flood.
Quite often, the chieftain, as we leave this area, and a hell of a lot of brutes with carbines will be looking at us, and it makes it really hard to get out of this tower.
Stop the truth. Then we deal with
We
the
have to
flood.
get a bit lucky here. Pick up the battle rifle. So as you can see, they are. Luckily, they went up quite far up that ramp. Sometimes they are more down that ramp and to the right. So as soon as you come around the corner, they will start shooting you. Makes it really awkward to get out of that tower. You just have to kind of hope for good luck.
Shipmaster's carrier is out of commission, Chief. I need you to take down.
Of course, we do the best we can to optimize it to increase our odds of coming out of the tower. But sometimes
Punch through the cliffs.
you do have
Get
to
inside that citadel.
pray to the Iron Jesus. Here we, again, are going to be skipping these enemies by taking a far right route here, sliding around the edge. You can die there, depending on the positioning of the
Troops
Prowler.
are mobilizing everything they've got.
There's a bunch of Prowlers here and a Wraith, a couple of Shade turrets. Fortunately, we can do a nice little strat here and ride vertically up this incline, get behind this complex, drive around them, and skip to this section which will spawn some Hornets in for us. Definitely one of the most awesome parts here on Halo 3 Legendary Speedrun.
Hornets inbound!
We're going to be seeing double Scarabs. The strat here is to hammer that hog. And you'll see why I did that later on, but I like to hammer it down there. So we're going to go to the right one first. It's kind of personal preference. You can go to either. There's strats for both. I like to go to the right one. I find it just works a little bit better for me. Flip the Hornet as you come back out of it. As with all the Scarabs in Halo 3 speedrun, the intention is just to get onto them without, you know, taking them along the way and killing their legs. We try to just get on them as fast as we can, get to the core, and just kill it. So, I mentioned earlier the hog that I hammered down, and as you can see, it's over here. It's just a nice little. You get a checkpoint. It's a really important checkpoint. This section can be quite hard to get through first time. So that checkpoint, I always like to walk behind the rock there because it confirms the checkpoint, so you don't have to, you know, keep trying and revert if necessary. Again, I like to have the that guarantee of the vehicle, which is why I put that hog there.
The flood scales the Citadel's far wall. Activate this bridge oracle. Prophet will die by fire.
It just gives you a little bit more speed going into the complex here. Doing some backwards hammer jumps, saving those seconds.
It asked, and I answered. For a moment of safety, I looped.
That Cortana moment ended abruptly because we were further advanced from the hammer jumps. There's a nice little strat here. It's probably the best box launch in the game. I like to try this at least once in a speedrun, but it's kind of a tricky setup to get. It can be extremely beneficial. If you hit this right, you can go at such speed and skip over to the next section. You do have to get a bit lucky though. It's not a 100% consistent strat. There are always enemies shooting you in the back. As you can see, you kind of get the general idea, and it's important to note that if you get the right elevation there, which unfortunately we didn't get, there's the hut. So if you see where we're shooting, just killing a couple of the Fjord grunts here, there's a hut above them, and you can kind of make it to where your flight path goes on top of that hut, and then bounce into the next section at speed, and you fly so far. It's incredible. When you angle the boxes like that, you can get a bit more speed and distance on your box launchers with a hammer. Though this is a really good run, so I would always go for that box launch, but it doesn't take too long to clear them out and move on to the next section. So some runners like to just fight this for consistency. I will definitely always try the box launch at least once or twice.
How could I have known?
So we picked up the Fjord gun in this next section, the bridge, and we wanted to drop a bubble shield, and thankfully they did. That will prevent any damage from that section. We try and activate the the invisibility as soon as we can. Jump on that column and then jump over. Really risky strat, but it saves so much time. There's a lot of brutes in that section, including a chieftain, a load of carbine brutes, and the grunts with fjords. So if you were to fight that section, it would definitely take anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes. Seeing as we didn't go through the hut, we actually have to jump to the end there to get the trigger. If you go over, like we did, you have to jump to the end. Sometimes there will be a brute that's above the hut, and the door will remain open, so you can go under, and then you can hit the trigger normally by activating the panel at the end of the bridge. So you'll notice that the Flood were actually allied with us a minute ago, and right now, on the way back, Gravemind kind of, makes it to where they're actually enemies now. So on the return journey, you have to be kind of careful and prioritize the Flood, that can kill you the most. So what we kind of tend to do here is grenade these doors, because as soon as those doors open, you'll have a shotgun Flood, one of the human Flood forms with a shotgun, and the 2 carriers which spawn the little ones. We like to call the little ones popcorn. It's a name that we've kind of stuck with in the Halo community. Popcorn Flood. We got another awesome little hammer jump here. We're going to jump into this, and as you can see, the momentum that we're getting, we're going to bounce a few times and actually get quite a bit of distance on that launch. Honestly, we should be dead. I am not sure how we got through this.
I'm a thief, but I keep what I steal.
The last set of enemies here, for some reason, don't attack you, so you can just jump over one of the carrier forms which will blow up, give you a tiny bit of momentum going into the end of the level. 16-minute core Covenant is actually pretty solid. I'd be more than happy with that in the majority of my runs, because Covenant can be... Covenant is one of those levels in Halo 3 Legendary that will make or break your run, the same as Ark. They are the 2 longest levels, Ark being the longest, Covenant being that little bit shorter, but it's still a very long level. And if they go wrong, they definitely kill your runs. I like to refer to them as the potential run killers. This level's pretty cool. It's Cortana, and this is the level that we retrieve Cortana in, and there's a lot of grave mine moments, as well as Cortana moments in this, and we try to skip through them as much as we can with the hammers and stuff.
I offer no forgiveness. The father's sins pass to his son.
A lot of people like to refer to this level as the butthole level. I can honestly say that I'm sure the designers of this level had quite a bit of fun when designing some of the door openings in each section. I like to go left here and pick up the bubble shot early and the bubble shield. The reason why I do this is because this section here, sometimes the enemies can be shooting you, they can be quite aggressive. The flood down the right can sometimes have a shotgun. It's just nice to have that bubble shield. It makes it a little bit more consistent to get through this area. And it's only like a couple seconds out of the way. I also need the brute shot for a strat that I've developed in the one of the rooms that you have to do a big jump up to get out of.
Came for her. We exist together now. Two corpses in one grave.
It's really cool with Halo 3 Legendary. I've been running it for a little bit over a year now, and I've got to the point where I've started to make quite a lot of my own strats, and that's when speedrunning gets really fun. You know, when you're contributing stuff to the community, which helps make speedruns faster. So we're walking through a few more buttholes here, and we're about to pick up a hammer, which we will keep for the entirety of the level. So another thing that I should mention, sometimes there are enemies there that have guns and can shoot you, so if you still have a bubble shield by this point, I like to just throw it there because, you know, it can stop them from shooting you as much as you can. I actually nearly died there, we got a little bit lucky to get through. The brute shot has the second most powerful melee. It's nearly as powerful as the sword, but not quite. The reason why I love this weapon on this level though is because it just helps you with consistency so much. The flood forms that shoot the projectiles at you can really kill you, and if you pick up the brute shot early, coming through this section here just makes it so much more consistent because you don't have to waste grenades. You know, you don't have to use other things, and honestly it's just a much more of an efficient weapon to kill them with. Throwing a grenade to kill those projectile flood can be a little bit inconsistent, and they will kill you very fast on Legendary sometimes, especially in that section that has 2 or 3 of them. This is the strat here that I've just invented the last week. I'm still perfecting it, but the idea is to brute shot up here, come around the corner, wait for our shields to come back. As they're coming back, walking around this section here, brute shot in the ground to come up to this section, activating it, and they can't see you. Unfortunately, we got pushed off, which can happen. Ideally, this strat will take about 20 seconds, and there's a hell of a lot of flood in this room. Usually, you have to go around the spiral, and it takes quite a while. So again, I'm brute shot in the ground to get clip up there. Go around to the left here, clear some enemies if needed, pick up the cloaking, and brute shot on the ground to get to the top here. When you activate it there, look, they're all around you, but they actually can't see you, which is really funny, even though they're right next to you. And again, even though you've just thrown a grenade at the ground and hammered, they still won't shoot you as you're escaping the area because the camouflage will last until you're out of the door.
I have walked the edge of the
By that
abyss.
point, you're safe.
Your future, and I have learned.
Submit! End her torment and my own!
section here, I like to kill as much enemies as I can while walking to retrieve Cortana. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty damn sure that the more enemies you kill here, it means that on the way back, 'cause you have to come back through this area, there will be less enemies that can potentially kill you. So I like to just try and kill as much as I can on the route to retrieve Cortana. Again, just killing some there. Also, note that I went on the left there to pick up the bubble shield early and reload my brute shot.
She hides, or I shall feast upon your bones.
Again, we're trying to improve our momentum by swinging with the hammer here through the grave mine and Cortana moments.
This is UNSCAI serial number CTN0452-9.
Usually you'd be walking so slow through both these moments, but with the hammer, you basically use all the ammo in the hammer, but it really does make that corridor shorter.
There's 2 of us in here now, remember?
So we finally got Cortana back, which means there's going to be no more Cortana moments in the last 2 levels, which is good for speedrunning.
Now, at last I see. Her secret is revealed.
Of course, we still have the grave mine moments. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've already went to the right to pick up the brute shot ammo, but here I decided to go over there and kill a couple of the projectile shooting flood and pick up a bit more ammo for the brute shot. You don't have to go that way. Again, it's more of a consistency strat. So picking up a cloaking there on the left, activating the button here, which will bring down the 3 columns which we have to shoot to trigger the next area to load. There's a bubble shield that drops right by the button, so after the cloaking is used up, we just pick it up, drop it, try and stay in this bubble while we shoot the columns. There's actually 2 cloakings that spawn there, and it's so important that you leave this area with another cloaking. And here again is where the brute shot is really handy on this level. Killing these enemies as fast as we can, the projectile ones. There's a mauler guy there, take him out. Prioritizing those threats. Trying to make sure that we don't die. Couple of carrier forms here that will spawn the popcorn flood. We try and just jump over them best we can. Can be a trouble area there, but if you get those jumps right, you should still have your shields by the time you get out of that area. So this is where the camouflage is really important. There's a massive long stretch here of flood, and this section would take so long to get through if you didn't activate the camouflage here. So similar to the section earlier in the level, we're just going to run past them. And it lasts just long enough to get past that last big guy. The real big flood guys are the hunter flood forms, and like I was talking about a little bit earlier on Floodgate, there's 4 types. We have the human flood form, the elite flood form, the brute flood form, and the hunter flood form. This guy's got a mauler, but thankfully he's running away from us. This one's got an SMG. They spawn with random weapons. We don't really want them to be spawning with brute shots and shotguns, because you can die from them. But again, if you have a brute shot still by this section, which by using the strats that I use on Cortana, you should still have enough ammo to take them out as you get to the Pelican and escape the
I've
level.
got a friendly contact. Who would be crazy enough to come in here?
And like I mentioned earlier, don't ever try and kill the blue ones, the elite flood forms, if you can prevent it.
Wait,
The reason why I picked up
nice? What else did you
a
do?
plasma pistol there is because if you end the level with a plasma pistol going into Halo, it will give you a full set of rockets at the start of the last level, which is really useful for the beginning sections. Similar to the start of Sierra, the last level starts off with a brisk walk. We try and just to go as direct as we can do, get a few slide jumps, try and cut those corners as best we can. So I like to go to the left here, and the reason why I do this is more of a consistency strat. There is other ways to get up to the top of the tower. You can take a more risky strat and go on one of the very first columns, but I like to go to the right here. It only loses about 5 to 6 seconds, but in a full game it's just a little bit more consistent to do it. It guarantees you getting up every single time without fail. And I'm the kind of runner who definitely likes to use a consistency strat when it's useful. Firing a couple of rockets down there, and again we're going to be juggling some weapons.
Open the damn door.
Of course, Ridley. Just as soon as you dispose of
Leaving a weapon, leaving the battle rifle here, or the hammer, it's personal preference. If you leave the hammer there, it's really, if you leave the battle rifle there, it's really nice for when you return on this section. But if you leaving the gravity hammer there,
we are finally doing what he wanted.
can make the return journey quite nice as well. It's personal preference. They both have their benefits. So we just killed Johnson, but he reanimates. We just killed him again, and we picked up his laser. This laser, they didn't intend you to be out here where Johnson is. But with a few jumps you can get up to this section, and we get his infinite laser. Because he was an AI, and usually it's Johnson who lasers the majority of these enemies, the game gave him an infinite laser. But by killing him twice, we get him to drop the laser, which gives us infinite shots, and we leave him with our rockets. Hopefully sometimes he will then fire the rockets down and help us out. Sometimes he switches to another laser that he just magically spawns after being reincarnated. Yeah, it just makes this section a hell of a lot more safer. Believe it or not, it is actually possible. Of course it's possible because it's the intended way to fight all the flood forms on the ground there by using shotguns and rockets and battle rifles. But you know, as speedrunners, it's just as fast to rain down the lasers from above. We like to think this is something that they maybe intended for us to find. We don't really know, but this section that we're actually standing on now, we actually walk through later on in the level. So it's not really an out of bounds, because on the way back we come down here, but there's a little bit of like a snow avalanche, and you can walk up there.
They'll be hitting any minute.
So I like to keep the hammer, because sometimes it can despawn on the ground, and the hammer is really useful for this section. We have another grave mine moment here, and again we're just going to be trying to hammer around the corner, be further advanced.
And who?
Sometimes if you can hammer efficient enough around this corner, if you get a bit of luck, the door will still be open. So we were actually walking through there, we're not having to open the door. Because we got around there quite fast, the door was open. and we're actually going to kill Johnson here. The many deaths of Sergeant Johnson in Halo 3. So we killed him there, and we went into the next section. He's actually on the ground in front of us now. So you can actually hear him spawning. That groan that you heard. There's actually two Johnsons. There's actually one who spawned just behind us, and there's one that's on the ground in front of us. But yeah, this is the final boss fight. 343 Guilty Spark has been helping us out in the speedrun so far. You know, he's been opening doors and whatnot. But he goes crazy at the end of the speedrun, and we like to take the laser and try and, you know, shoot him as fast as we can while he's flying up there. Sometimes if the laser that Johnson drops has more ammo than the one that you're holding, you can pick it up, and it kind of saves those seconds from the recharge rate. Because the laser will overheat, and if you pick up the one that's on the ground, you'll save a couple seconds, and it won't do that. And as we can see, Johnson is still alive. He just died, but now he's alive again. It's really funny. The many reincarnations and deaths of Johnson in Halo 3 Legendary. It's one of the coolest things I like to see in speedruns. Of course, shooting Johnson is completely optional strat rather, but I always like to see him alive at the end. We're just gonna kill these Flood as best we can, clean them up. A few of the popcorn's chasing us. Like I was mentioning earlier here, now we're going to be going to the right here. And as I was mentioning with the avalanche, the snow kind of comes down, so the scenery up here is a little bit changed because there's a hell of a lot of snow that has come on top. And now there's like a little walkway up here. So they always intended you to come up here, but I don't know if they actually intended you to come up here before this section in the level. But it's really cool that you can do, because getting Johnson's laser is just so optimal for the previous section.
The dawn is on the other side.
We want Arbiter to come quite forward. Sometimes he can hang back, which can be really annoying because we want to try and go as fast as we can. If he comes forward with you and he's helping you shoot these guys, you don't have to pause. Sometimes you might have to pause if there's too many enemies, because they will take your shield down and kill you quite fast. We got quite lucky there, and he came with us and he gave us assistance. This room here reminds me a lot of the Halo 1 architecture. A lot of the Forerunner structures are like that. We have to just try and ignore those flood forms, and hope that we don't die. Again, it's another area that you're hoping for a little bit of luck for to get through. This is where Sergeant Johnson came in when we first saw him on the level. So he left his warthog for us.
There, Johnson's warthog. Come on, Spartan, go, go, go!
And of course the final drive to Halo 3. We're going to be using a lot of skips here to make the driving route as short as we can. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to stay right here to this column. Not the big column to the left, the column to the right. Usually you have to go left there and go around. But if you go to the right here, you can kind of clip off the edge of that ramp. Jesus, how the hell did I... Sometimes you can recover the hog from flipping by reversing when you're like nearly tipped over. So yeah, so the end of Halo, a lot of these platforms will be blowing up, so you need to know the route. Generally speaking, if you stay close to the small pillars, that's the kind of the path that you want to be aiming for. The platforms that blow up and you can potentially fall through are the ones that aren't really close to the small pillars. So it's a nice little guideline to use. can't skip over the enemies in this section, we can't despawn them, but we can in the next section. There's another one of these ring formations coming up, and you can actually drive over the top of it. But this one we have to kind of like just swivel through it. Try not to hit the popcorn floodgates, they can, you know, put you off course. Also, these sentinels can flip you sometimes, so you have to try and take a wider route than you would. Less of a direct route, but we do it because otherwise they will flip you, and it causes you at least 5 seconds to get back into the hog.
Charging sequence at 30%.
So right here is probably the coolest skip on Halo, and we're going to be, like I mentioned a minute ago, we're going to be driving on top of the ring structure, the circular structure. What we have to do is we have to try and gradually turn in here, try and build up as much speed as you can and get into the middle of this little tiny crack in between those two panels, and we can skip that entire section. Usually you have to drive around the entirety of that ring, but we're going straight to the exit there by jumping over the edge. It's a really nice skip. Again, as you can see here, these pillars, if you stay as close as you can to them on your driving path, you'll miss the platforms that blow up. Again, it's just a general guideline. These panels that you see flying around can sometimes hit us. I've had a couple runs before where some of these panels have hit me and they've impacted with the hog and caused you to like reroute into one of the panels that, you know, blows up, so you fall down. Sometimes you can get a bit of bad luck, but again, you're just trying to get the best luck that you can do with the sentinels, hoping that they don't shoot and flip you. Going far left here is the faster way to end the level. You can go underneath and to the right. But yeah, this has been Halo 3 Legendary commentary. I'm going to be doing a lot of these. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.
For us, the storm has passed. The war is over. But let us never forget those who journeyed into the howling dark and did not return. For their decision required courage beyond measure, sacrifice, and unshakable conviction that their fight, our fight, was elsewhere. As we start to rebuild, this hillside will remain barren, a memorial to heroes fallen. They ennobled all of us, and they shall not be forgotten.
Present! Hawk!
I remember how this war started, what your kind did to mine. I can't forgive them. But you have my thanks for standing by him to the end. Hard to believe he's dead.
Were it so easy.